Okay, I'm the Permanent Secretary of War Veterans in Zimbabwe, and we have a Ministry of War Veterans titled the Ministry of Welfare Services for War Veterans, War Collaborators and Ex-Political Detainees. It's a ministry that looks after all participants of the liberation struggle that was fought in Zimbabwe from 1960 to 1980. All participants, living and dead, are looked after my ministry. We derive our mandate from the Constitution of Zimbabwe, which in its preamble venerates and exalts the men and women who sacrificed their lives for the liberation of Zimbabwe. And the Constitution of Zimbabwe also obliges the state and all its institutions to recognize and respect the rights of the veterans of the liberation struggle, as well as the legacy of the liberation struggle. As principles of good governance, Zimbabwe cannot be governed without recognizing the liberation struggle or venerating and respecting the veterans. A section of the Constitution also defines who are the veterans of the liberation struggle. It's those who fought, those who assisted, and those who were detained for political reasons during the liberation struggle. And then we also have a section which elevates that respect, that recognition, that empowerment, the right to be empowered, to what we call inalienable, entrenched rights of war veterans. That means that section of the Constitution cannot be changed by any government without going to a national referendum. The rights that we must be looked after by the government and all that are entrenched in our Constitution. Out of that, we then administer several acts of parliament. And our department, the War Veterans Ministry, has got only existed for the past year. We were established in April 2015. Prior to that, we had a Department of War Veterans in the Ministry of Defense, which was concentrating mainly on the welfare issues. Now, the ministry has got a political counterpart in the ruling party, because you know the Party of Liberation is the one that is 100% in power in Zimbabwe. So we have in the party a Department of War Veterans, which is led by a secretary in the Politburo, Comrade Sydney Sekaramai, who is also the Minister of Defense in government. So we work together. Our war veterans, the ones we look after in Zimbabwe, exclude the former Rhodesian security forces, what you call the statutory forces here. They are excluded from our portfolio. They are looked after by other laws which we do not administer ourselves. And we also exclude post-independence veterans, those who fought in the wars that we have fought as Zimbabwe. As you know, we have had a civil war in Zimbabwe in the 80s, the so-called Gukuraundi. We have been to Mozambique. We fought in Mozambique, and we also fought in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So that history has also produced veterans, but they are not part of the portfolio that we manage. That's the difference with here, where you look after almost everybody who has been in the military, isn't it?
It's like that, General.
Yeah. We now have the War Veterans Association. One, I understand your organization has got about 8. Yeah. We have one War Veterans Association, but we work with it in an arm's length relationship. We do not, for example, fund its activities or involve. It's an activist organization, a private voluntary organization, which only houses 23% of the war veterans in Zimbabwe.
So your War Veterans Association, does it accommodate both the ZANLA and the ZIPRA forces?
Yes, it does. It accommodates ZANLA and ZIPRA, but on a voluntary basis. We have 34,000 surviving war veterans, combining both ZANLA and ZIPRA. So the association is a voluntary organization which is presently as a membership of only 23% of the veterans of the liberation struggle. That means the other 77% are out there in the countryside and they have no structure or leadership outside the party, if they can relate within the party, take positions there, or through the ministry. You see, that is what we are trying to address now, to try and have an organization that looks after all war veterans in Zimbabwe. And that works well with the party that created them, the ruling party. You see, that is in a constructive conversation with the party, and that is what we call a symbiotic relationship. This symbiotic relationship which created us, which has sustained us up to now, which defines Zimbabwe's stability.
So what are some of the benefits that received by war veterans?
War veterans. Every person who has been vetted and qualifies to be a war veteran receives the statutory benefits. We pay school fees for him or her and their children. We pay for their medical care. We pay for their funerals when they die. We are required to give them loans either as individuals or as groups when they want to go into business. And we are also required to provide a subsistence grant to any war veteran who falls into poverty and can't make ends meet. Those are the prescribed benefits in law. But we are asking to expand that. We also have a policy where in the land reform, Zimbabwe has had a land reform. 20% of all land that was acquired or is being acquired for resettlement is reserved for war veterans. Okay. And we are still negotiating for exemption from taxes, land taxes, not other taxes of business or so, capital gains and so on. Land tax, because all people pay a land tax. We are saying we already paid through our blood and sacrifice. And there are not many of us. It won't affect the revenue streams if you exempt 34,000 of us from paying those taxes. We are asking government, it's a hot issue we are going through. In our meeting with the president in April, we even had the comrades asking to be exempted from toll fees on the roads. Those are points that are on the table, which we are arguing. But otherwise, we are also asking for residential stands. There is currently a program where farms around the towns that have been acquired by government are being turned over to the local authorities and they are being distributed to the youths. And we are saying you can't give the children housing stands before you give the parents. So as war veterans, we are also asking for a percentage of that. We are asking for mining rights. We don't want to continue to be a burden on the state. We want to be empowered to produce, to make money, to look after ourselves, to also be big players in the economy. So that's where what we are doing. We have been at this for 36 years. It's gradual. You meet resistance. Half the time from people who are now in positions of authority, but who were not in the liberation struggle. But we believe we are a special group of citizens who deserve our piece of Zimbabwe before our time runs out. Because we are a finite generation. We will be finished. By 2066, we won't be around, I think. So look after us during our time.
This after we pass on.
Yeah, this is what we...
Thank you very much, General.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.